Well, Jess, the law can often be quite confusing, but luckily, help is here.
Yeah, Wayne Priala Legal is focused on providing top-end of town legal expertise from residential conveyancing, marina berth transactions, developer contracts and project sales, as well as all aspects of property law. With Despina Priala being the principal of the boutique law firm and garnering more than 25 years of experience, we're lucky to say she joins us every Thursday to give some general advice and speak on the latest hot topics, and she joins us now. Welcome, Despina.
Thank you for that intro, guys. Good morning, Jess. Good morning, Wayne.
Yes, good morning, Despina. Well, we've got quite a bit to get through as usual for today. Very shortly, we're going to look at pets in Bunnings. But first up, there's a lot of talk about vaccination at the moment.
Yes.
And believe it or not, the government actually has a plan about what it's going to do, who's going to get it, when, etc.
That's right. We've talked about it a little bit a couple of weeks ago. And I've heard it on your station that people are still talking about it. Of course, it's a very popular topic. I thought I would clear the air to let people know quite clearly that there is a COVID-19 vaccination policy. So a lot of people may not be aware of it, but the government has actually issued it recently. So you can actually go online, and I'll give people the website in a minute. You can go online and read the policy yourself to truly understand what the government is trying to do with the COVID-19 vaccine, because there is a lot of talk from a lot of different people out there in the media and elsewhere, particularly social media, about the COVID-19 vaccine. What does it mean for us on all different levels? So I thought give the website to the listeners, and you can go on there yourself and read it for yourself about what the government's trying to do. For example, the COVID-19 vaccine, the rollout strategy, who's going to be able to receive it for free and who won't be eligible to receive it for free and may have to pay to receive the vaccine, and how the rollout will work, who takes priority and who doesn't around Australia. So I thought that would be a good start for people to review the policy, read it for themselves, rather than perhaps taking it from other sources that may not be accurate.
You want the government to be transparent with this because, as you say, there's so much misinformation out there.
There is. So the relevant website is www.health.gov.au/COVID-19 vaccines with an S on the end. So fairly simple. So when you Google that, or you can just Google COVID-19 vaccine policy, just itself, generic, it will come up straight away for you and you can read it yourself. It's a few pages, but if you're looking for something specific there, you'll be able to find it, I'm sure.
As you say, social media especially is full of all sorts of information that may or may not be accurate. And so to be able to get it straight from the government, straight from the horse's mouth, that's obviously the go.
It is. And just one snippet, one example is a part of the policy. It does say quite clearly there that the vaccine will be free for those who are Medicare eligible. Okay.
Right.
So
where does this leave Kiwis?
Well, exactly. Exactly.
But we can have a better understanding. At least we go through and see what's relevant to us as individuals.
Exactly right. So the listeners now have that and you can go off and read it yourself. Yes.
And what about when it comes to, we're talking about policies carrying over from last week. What about the Bunnings case? Because they've had to review their policy because there was an incident with a dog.
That's right. There was an incident recently, I believe it was the North Brisbane, somewhere up there, one of the Bunnings stores. And we were talking about individual responsibility last week and about perhaps how Australia is the nanny state. But we were also talking about the over-regulation and perhaps the reasons, or one of the reasons why that has come about is because of individuals' behaviour and perhaps doing the wrong thing.
Always one.
Yes, exactly.
It ruins the fun for everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought I'd look into it a bit more, and it was unfortunate that this happened in a Bunnings store where two dogs were at each other's throats, if I could call it that. They were involved in a fight, and it took them apparently 10 minutes to pull them apart. And you think, well, why did it take so long? Perhaps one wasn't on a lead. Perhaps one wasn't restrained initially. And then it took me to the Bunnings pet policy section because it is on their website and you can actually read it for yourself. And then I discovered a few other articles over the years about how Bunnings have changed their policy due to incidents in their store and perhaps owners of dogs not being responsible for their pets. And that goes in society as well. You've really got to be responsible when looking after your pets and make sure they do the right thing. And this is another example where I think because of the recent incident, perhaps Bunnings may again review their policy. So it's interesting to note that when I look through this and the history of Bunnings, Bunnings has had a pet policy for a number of years, actually. It's been around since 1923. To be honest, I didn't know it was that long, but pets were permitted in the store, and I have a dog myself.
Do you take him in?
I took my little Aussie Bulldog when he was a puppy, but I wouldn't take him now because when he was a puppy, I could easily pick him up, put him in the trolley, which you're allowed to do, but he's way too big now. He's 27 kilos. So
well, hence the name. Can you tell us his name?
Tank.
Aptly titled.
He's adorable, but I certainly wouldn't take him now anyway. I mean, the policy now is that the dogs have to be restrained in a vehicle through the tradie section, or they can come into the store, but they've got to be on a lead and wearing a muzzle. And not everybody wants to have their dogs wearing a muzzle, or they've got to be carried. Not all dogs can be carried. My dog couldn't be carried, for example, for long periods of time. It would be like 5 seconds. So little, fluffy dogs you can carry or put them in the trolley. That sort of policy's been in place for a while. And if you're going to Bunnings and you're aware of it, and they do have made it clear over the years, then abide by it. Yeah. Comply with it, because now some people perhaps may not have complied correctly and not taken their dogs in on leads, and 2 dogs have gotten into a fight. I think what we'll find is that Bunnings is again going to review their policies because of backlash, perhaps by patrons. And it's not really perhaps Bunnings' fault.
No, what about the pet owner?
That's right. Yeah, the pets are just doing what is comes naturally to the pet.
Yes.
The owner has to be ultimately responsible.
But in saying that, and we always, play devil's advocate, in saying that, when you go to a Bunnings store, I can't recall there being a sign out the front that says, well, we have a strict pet policy and this is what you need to do. So like COVID, go to places now and they've got a big sign where you've got to wash your hands, you've got to sign in, and everybody is aware of it, and it's, huge. The signs are quite there for everyone to see, quite visible. So why don't they have that for the Bunnings stores? Now, maybe they do, but I don't recall seeing that when I go into my local Bunnings store, where they have a big sign to say, dogs permitted under these conditions, or dogs not permitted, if that were going to change.
Maybe one saying agro owners or agro dogs, you're not welcome either, because the sound of this, to not be able to contain your dog, maybe they shouldn't be coming there.
Yeah, exactly right. So it comes back to individual responsibility in society, and this is the topic we were talking about last week quite specifically, that we will find the regulations, and more regulations will come into play because people aren't taking responsibility for their own conduct and are being irresponsible in society, and then unfortunately everybody pays for changes and regulations and new laws and new regulations for us all.
Because my little Tinkerbell isn't going to have a go, the yap at the big Dalmatian or Tank,
yes,
are they?
Exactly.
But it could cause an awful lot of consternation if the 2 dogs decided to get together and have a bit of a
Maybe they saw the
conversation.
sausages out the front.
That's true. And watch out, as you come in, watch out you don't step on the onions.
So it's not really the dog's fault. It always comes back to the owner, individual responsibility.
Yep. This is Radio 97. It's Talking Law with Despina Priala. And if you have a question that you would like anything to do with the law, then send us the details to breakfast@radio97.com.au, and Despina will be happy to answer those questions for you here on the radio.